A lot of people don't know it, but the Mississippi River is full of gold, and I'm gonna prove it to you. Now this is no place special. I'm in northeast Minneapolis. There's a park right there. People walking by can see me. Right here is kind of a gravel bar that forms. So I'm gonna take some pans right here, make sure there's gold, and then I'm gonna pan 100 pans worth and see how much we got. Some cast iron, sign the water's been moving. Now right off the bat, here's a good sign because I see some dense gray clay and it's full of sand. Now gold would normally stick to that clay and it becomes like a gold trap. So this might be a good sign. I need to break all that up, make sure I wash any gold out. I'm starting to see some black sand, which is good. All right, let's toss this back, see what we got. Yep, got some gold. So right there in that first pan is one chunky piece of gold. So I might have exaggerated a little bit. Mississippi isn't full of gold, but there's a little gold. Now in this pan I found one piece, so I know there's gold here. Now in the Mississippi, I can't run a hand sluice or anything like that. It's not legal to run a high banker. So what I have to do is pan all the gold I'm going to get. Now the Mississippi River runs from northern Minnesota all the way down to the Gulf Coast. In the northern part it runs through a lot of glacial till, and that's where the source of the gold was. The glaciers brought down gold from Canada and northern Minnesota and sprinkled it about. The Mississippi River collects it. Yeah. Yeah. You want to see some? No, like little pieces. I'll show you. Well, a lot of the gold that we find in the Mississippi came down from the glaciers during the Ice Age. And there's not much, but there's a little bit. So I should be able, I'll see if I got any. I should be able to show you.
Do you sell it then?
Oh no, it's not really worth enough to sell, but it's just kind of fun to see it.
So why are you on over here? Because this is where a lot of it settles?
Well, so a woman just came up to me and asked, "Are you panning for gold?" And I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "For rings?" I said, "No, glacial gold. I'll show you." So I panned it down a little bit and I showed her some of the specs. She wasn't nearly as impressed as I thought she'd be. And then she quickly went away. Just found a lead head jig. So I just panned 5 pans, one on top of another, and I see a few more specks in there, not much. So in the corner there, I got a piece. I got a nice chunker right there. Another nice chunker right there. And more pieces there, and I see some in the black sand too. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that, my concentrates, and dump it in my concentrate bucket. Clean that up when I get home. Now the water's kind of murky so you can't see it, but there's a big concrete block right here. And I'm thinking that's going to be a spot with gold deposited, so I'm going to dig all around and maybe even underneath the thing. Now the first 5 I just shoveled gravel in the pan directly, but that's kind of a pain. So to make it easier, I'm going to use my 1/4-inch classifier and classify it all into sand and then speed pan the bucket down.
Let's fire up the plant. Get her going. Hit the water. Let's turn the trommel on. How's the slurry?
Looking good.
You think it's gonna hold?
Yeah.
Sometimes perfection is never really in your grasp. But today I feel hopeful because I know by the end of the day today, I'm gonna get more gold in this box and closer to that goal.
So now I got about a half a bucket classified, and that should make it a lot easier to speed pan this quickly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna speed pan 5 pans, and then whatever heavies I get, that'll go in my concentrate pile. Just throw it on like that with my hands, with my hand shovel. I'm gonna count that as a pan. Now as I do this, I'm not gonna strip it down very far. As soon as I see black sand, I'm gonna put the next load on there. Try to do this as fast as I can. There, I'm starting to see black sand, and now the next one goes on. And there's pan number 5, so I'll show you what we got in these concentrates. As I was shoveling, I was noticing the cobbles were getting bigger, and I think that's a good sign. There was still a mix of clay and sand, so... And yep, right off the bat, I see some good pieces of gold. We're 10 pans in, and that goes in the concentrates. Another lead head jig. I know the heavies are depositing here, that's what I know. Now I kind of want to dig under this cement block, so I'm going to lift this up.
That was super heavy.
Bet there's all kinds of gold under that one. There's claim jumpers over there. They're after the gold. So as I dig down here, there's still plenty of big gravels, cobbles, and sand, and a little bit of glass. And I'm still pulling up rocks coated in clay, so it looks like good material. Oh boy, that is a really full bucket. I could have been there.
I'm almost died. That was so scary. Thank you.
It's okay, it's all right.
So down deep in that hole, there's definitely more black sand, I'd say, but probably just the same amount of gold specks. How many pans was this?
You lost count?
Pretty sure that was a 15th pan. And we do have a steady stream of gold specks, so I'm just gonna keep adding to the pile. Oh my gosh, I think I just found the biggest piece of gold I've ever found. Look at the size of that one right there. Wow. It's like a genuine nugget. It's got shape to it. It's amazing.
He's special.
I didn't even bring my snuffer, so I'm gonna just hope I can find that again. Dump it in the concentrates. I just uncovered a warning sticker. Smoking can cause cancer. The more you know. So I've reduced 4 or 5 5-gallon pail buckets into that amount of concentrates. It's 25 pans worth, maybe 27. I'm gonna call it for the day, and I'll have to pick this challenge up tomorrow. But first, I'm gonna fill my hole. Holy cow, it's windy. Okay, so it's the next day, and I'm a little farther north on the river, near Elk River, and I'm gonna keep on going, collecting my pans. Now this area is a little bit shallower, and I can see more rocks. But the first thing I gotta do is make sure there's gold here. I haven't been here yet, so I'm gonna take a test pan, and if there is still gold, I'm gonna keep on taking my pans. So that first pan just had one teeny weeny itty bitty speck I'm gonna try going out a little farther, maybe pan around and see if I can find something a little bit better. That still counts as one pan though. So I went out a little deeper, took a pan, and there's some bigger pieces and more than one. So I'm gonna classify a bucket out there and pan that out. This counts as 2. So that was a lot harder digging and a lot more of a nuisance because the water's a lot deeper. So I'm gonna speed pan that down and see if it's worth staying here. Should be about 5 or 6 pans worth. So I'm giving up on that spot. It's way too windy. My camera blew into the water twice. It's not working right now. It's kind of frustrated. I panned out 5 more pans and I'm really not seeing much gold. So I'm gonna go back to the spot I was at the first time. I'm calling it we're at 30 pans. Please send your condolences and maybe a sympathy like for the fallen camera. So I'm back at my original spot. I'm upstream a little bit because there was a kid fishing in my spot, but I'm down 1 camera and I'm just gonna pan through a bunch of pans and fast forward. I'll catch up back with you when I'm done. So in 1 pan, I got 2 specks there and another speck there. Not bad. So now that I know there's gold here, I'm just gonna pan the pans. So catch you in a bit. If you take a look at some of the tailings, you can see there's some metamorphic rock there, some schist, got some gneiss right there. Piece of granite right here, and I got some nice pieces of quartz, and some of it actually looks mineralized. So this could be the source rock of the gold. Whether that came from Minnesota or Canada, I don't know, but it came from the glaciers. I do know that. All right, so I'm at 55 pans right now. I'm gonna call it a night. It's a little bit bigger project than I assumed. 100 pans is a lot. So I'm back again, and I've been trying to figure out where the best place to get the gold is. I've tried digging pans out of the surface. I've tried digging pans down deep, and I don't really find a big correlation between the surface and like 2 feet down. Some pans don't seem to have anything, and some pans have some nice flakes. I just think it's kind of random, so I'm just gonna keep digging. We got 45 pans to go. So I just panned down a full 5-gallon bucket. It's about 5-6 pans worth, and look what I got. Nothing. There's not 1 speck, well, maybe 1 speck in that pan. So this spot obviously dried up, so I'm gonna walk up the river and find a better spot. So this next pan has got a mix of sand, big cobbles, and some clay here. And that looks like pretty good material. So, let's see. And that gave us 1 teeny weeny bitty micro speck. So I'm gonna keep moving. So upstream, I've got a spot where there's a couple more specks. And I know that's not a lot at all, but I'm not gonna find huge concentrations in the Mississippi. It's just kind of disseminated here and there. So I'm just gonna fill some buckets, keep on panning. We got 40 to go. From what I've seen, there's not a lot of places that I'd consider gold traps on the banks of the Mississippi. You'd think that island right there would be a good spot to trap gold, but I've been there and all I found was sand. Some pretty good flakes in there. It's a miracle. A little container of chicken livers came floating by, and now I have a scooper. Uh-oh. It's okay, buddy. It's okay, buddy. Oh, jeez. Go throw up.
Go ahead. Go throw up. What? What did I say? What?
Some pans I see good flake, and some pans I see absolutely nothing. And I can't figure out why. It just seems random. This pan has some good flakes though. Little by little, fly poop adds up. Do you know what this is? This is the 100th pan. I'm so glad to be done. Let's see what's in it. So in the 100th pan, we had one pretty decent flake. So here's our bucket of concentrates. There really isn't much gold because some pans had 0, some pans had some decent flakes, so it's gonna be interesting to see how much is actually in here. But let's get it home and clean it up. All right, we're back at headquarters, ready to process our concentrates. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my trusty kitchen strainer and classify this down to a smaller size. So first I'll put some jet dry in the water, just to make sure none of that gold is gonna float. Then, one scoop at a time, I classify it down. Now, I'm not sure what size mesh this is, but it's pretty small, and I'm sure I'm not gonna find any gold bigger than that. But just in case, I put the bigs there, and we'll search those later for nuggets. Look at that. Big lead sinker. I feel like over half my concentrates are these big boulders. All right, let's check this out for nuggets. There were no nuggets, but look at how much lead I found. Found all kinds of pieces of iron, old nails, some metal buttons, some BB pellets, split shot, buckshot, and exploded bullets. So that's all the cons we have left. Now I'm gonna put them under my special Flour Gold Wizard cleanup sluice. Now the only tricky part about using this sluice is I've never used it before. So cleaning up these cons, I'm gonna make sure that I go through the tailings of the sluice, make sure we're not losing any gold. And I can see some pieces of gold sticking around, so I think we're doing okay. I forgot to put jet dry in this water. I'm seeing some pieces of gold stick behind. Looks like the stars at night. All that Mississippi gold. All right, let's shut this thing off. So I'm still learning how to use this, but it's looking good. I can see gold all throughout there. I also see some more lead. So now, I'll see how much gold is in here, see how much gold is in my tailings, see how well we did. 100 pans down to that. Wow, that represents a lot of work. Let's pan it out. Where does all that blonde sand come from? I would have thought all that would have been gone. All right, let me work this all back, and we'll see how much gold we have. Look at all that. You can see it starting to appear right on the edge there. Look at all that. Oh my goodness. Now some of those pieces are lead. They're not all gold. So I'm going to try to figure out a way to separate those. So the Flour Gold Wizard Sluice did a pretty good job getting that gold. But I'm going to check the tailings to see if we missed any. And if it did, I'm going to rerun it at a different speed of water and see if I can do a little bit better job collecting it. All right, still a bunch of black sand in there, but I should be able to toss it back and see if there's any gold. So there is a little gold left behind. Right there is one tiny little micro dot. And you can see in the black sand, all that is lead. They're all pieces of lead. So just for the sake of it, I'm going to run all my concentrates again, but at a slower water rate. See if I can capture any of that lead and maybe a few specks of gold. So I can see it creep down at a lot slower rate, and I think that looks better. So I can see right there, I captured a piece of lead that made it through the last time. Some other pieces of lead there too. I don't see any gold. Maybe we caught pretty much all of it the first time. So same amount of cons as last time. I guess it holds the same amount, makes sense. So I pan that second run out, and those are pieces of lead except for that little micro dot of gold right there. So the first run was really all that was necessary. I know if it's catching that pieces of lead like that, it would be catching gold if it was there. So let's get it all collected. So that's what we got out of 100 pans. So I think that's all lead unless it's mercury-coated gold. But I don't know why there'd be mercury-coated gold in the Mississippi. That's all gold though. Let's get it sucked up. added to the lifetime supply. And there's the lifetime supply. So 100 pans just adds a little bit more to the vial. I'm gonna fill this thing someday. Let me know what you think. Come on back for the next episode. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.